Hi everyone! This week we will start to look at procedural writing and what it's used for. A procedure is a set of steps or instructions on how to make or do something. It could be a recipe, making a craft, completing an activity, or following a game. Yesterday, you brainstormed a list of things that you do well. Some of mine that I wrote down were baking bread, cooking spaghetti, feeding my dog, and defending a netball shot. Today, we are going to look at verbs and why we use these verbs in our writing to write procedures. A verb is an action word, so a word that actually shows action. We use verbs in our procedures so that the reader can follow an action of what we are wanting them to do. I have chosen from my list yesterday how to feed my dog George, and I'm about to show you some of the verbs that I will need to use if I want my reader to follow my steps on how to feed my dog. Okay, first I need to cut the wet food. Then I need to slice the meat into cubes. Okay, then I need to get 1 cup and fill the cup with some dry food. After that, I need to pour the dry food on top of the wet food. The last thing I need to do is mix the wet food and the dry food together. Some of the verbs that I used to describe how to feed my dog George were cut, slice, fill, pour, and mix. So I've just written these down on a mini whiteboard here. Okay. So these actions of cutting and slicing, filling, pouring, and mixing the dog food tells the reader exactly how to feed my dog George. So now it's your turn. I want you to have a go at writing down some verbs in your lined book using the pictures on the website. One of them is how to ride a bike, so you could use some verbs like pedal. And the other picture is making a cake. So you could mix or fill in the batter in the bowl. Have fun! Hi everyone, welcome to Friday's writing lesson. Today we are going to look at drawing pictures to match our instructions for our procedure. So today you are to draw pictures to match the procedure you wrote in Wednesday's writing lesson of something you can do well. So for an example, I chose how to feed my dog George. That's one of the things that I thought I do well because he's pretty full after he eats his delicious meal. So I've already drawn the first 2 pictures to match my steps, which I'll show you in a minute. I'm up to drawing the last picture of my step in the procedure, okay? So it's really, really important to have pictures that match what you are saying so the reader can also see what it looks like, and this will help them understand how to do the procedure properly. So what I've done here, first cut the wet food and slice it into cubes. Next, we have fill a cup of dry food and pour it on top of the wet food. Then the last part of my procedure is mix the wet and the dry food together in a bowl. So what I'm going to do is draw on the bench. You might have remembered my video on feeding my dog George from Tuesday. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the bowl. So the step is mix the wet and the dry food together. So I should have the wet food in the bowl already because that was before I put the dry food in. And then you should see the brown pellets on top. And then I'm going to draw myself mixing the wet and the dry food together because that's the last part of my step. I'm going to show that by drawing myself with a spoon or a knife, mixing the wet and the dry food together. Now you'll have to excuse my drawing. My class actually know that I'm not a fantastic drawer. Okay, but we only ask you to try your best. And I'll just draw the, dry food that was next to me. And label that. It's really important to put some labels and arrows on your pictures to know for the reader on how to do the procedure properly. So mix the wet and the dry food together in a bowl is my last step. And you can see here, I've got the bowl and I'm mixing the wet and the dry food together. So now it's your turn to have a go at drawing pictures to match your instructions of the procedure you chose from Wednesdays. So it could be riding a bike, it could be skipping, doing a handstand. Have fun.